From the top of a mountain 347 meters high, the angles of depression of the top and bottom of a bungalow are 33 degrees and 69 degrees respectively. The base of the mountain is on the same horizontal ground as that of the bungalow. Calculate A. The distance between the bungalow and the mountain. B. The height of the bungalow. C. The slanting distance from the top of the mountain to the top of the building and to the base of the building. Round your answers to the nearest whole number. For us to solve this question correctly, it is important to draw our diagram correctly as well to represent the mountain we are dealing with and the bungalow that we just mentioned in the problem. So I'm going to start by drawing the positions of these monuments that we want to deal with. So let's get the party started. Solution to this problem. Now I'm going to be going through the question in halves, and from there I can easily take up what I want to do. The first part I want to work on is to imagine the top of the mountain. So first I can draw the top of the mountain using a horizontal line this way. Let this represent the top of my mountain. I don't know the length because we don't need the length to work, but this time around it is important to use something to represent it. Another thing we have already in the question is the height of the mountain, 347 meters. So I can easily place my mountain here standing vertically this way. Let this represent our mountain. So I can write on this side of it 347 meters. 347 meters. This represents the top of the mountain, T. And this represents the base of the mountain. Let me call it B, base B. Now, the question also told us something important. The question says that the base of the mountain is on the same horizontal ground as that of the bungalow. We don't know the distance between the mountain base and the bungalow base, but what we know is that both of them stand on the same horizontal ground. So what we can also do is to draw another horizontal line that runs from the base of the mountain to a particular distance. Since the diagram is not up to scale, all we need to do is let this line be more like imaginary line. Let this represent the distance from the base of the mountain to the base of the bungalow that we are dealing with. Are we there? Alright, since we've done this already, now let us do something else. Go back to the question. Since we already have the top of the mountain, from here we can begin to create the angles given. The first angle is that of depression from the top of the mountain to the top of the building. We haven't drawn the building yet, so let's take the second one first, the one that says to the bottom of the building, and that is 69 degrees. So angle of depression 69 degrees from the top of the mountain will be the same thing as angle of elevation 69 degrees from the bottom of the bungalow. Therefore, from the top of the building T, I am going to draw an angle of depression which is 69 degrees to the bottom of the bungalow, like this. Yes, so what it means is that from the top of the mountain I can easily turn this way, touch this line, and this represents 69 degrees. Now watch, this is a horizontal line that represents the top of the mountain, and this is another horizontal line that represents the ground surface where both the base of the mountain and the base of the building stand. What it means is that both horizontal lines are parallel to each other, so we can easily see the line. Let's call this TC. So we can see the slanting line TC as the transversal. In that case, we can say conveniently that angle BTC, or let's refer to this as A. Alright, so let's call it as angle ATC this time. Angle ATC now will be exactly the same thing as angle BCT as angle BCT. Reason, they are alternate angles. Both of them are alternate angles. And as we know, alternate angles are equal. So 69 here will be the same thing as 69 here. We have fulfilled the first condition. Now the next condition also told us in the question that from that top of the mountain, the angle of depression of the top of a building is 33 degrees. We don't know the height of the building, but since it's a bungalow, as the question rightly mentioned, we can be certain that the height of the bungalow is less than the height of the mountain. Therefore, with that imagination, we can create the bungalow to be this, not as high as the mountain, so anything above the ground surface. Something like this. Let this be the building that we are dealing with. All right, I am going to mention this as D. Let me label it as D. So what it also implies now, for us to create the angle 33 degrees from the top of the mountain, it means it's going to be much smaller than 69. Remember that, something of this nature. Yeah, so let it be from T, the top of the mountain, to D, the top of the building, like this. Yeah, so we can easily say that from this line, the horizontal line TA, to the slanting line TD is 33 degrees. So this is 33 degrees. Take note of that. Now watch. Using the same idea of alternate angles that we employed here, we can also do the same. But for us to do that, we can easily imagine another horizontal line that will be parallel to both TA and BC that we dealt with initially, so that will make our working easier. You get that? So this is a parallel line also to other ones we dealt with. Let me mention X at this part. So what this implies is that if angle ATD is 33 degrees, it also implies that the angle XDT is the same 33 degrees. Reason, they are alternate angles. So this part also represents 33 degrees. Always remember that the opposite of an angle of elevation is the angle of depression. So what it means is that the angle of elevation XDT is equal to the angle of depression ATD. That's what we're just proving right now. I'm going to write it down here. Angle ATD is equal to the angle XDT. Reason, alternate angles are equal. Don't forget that. Alternate angles. So with all these conditions already fulfilled, we can now move further to solve the problem we are given. Now, what is the first problem? The first problem says calculate the distance between the bungalow and the mountain. Now, if you come down here, the bungalow is represented by the line DC, while the mountain is represented by the line TB, as you can see. So what we are going to do now is we are looking for the distance BC. The base of the mountain is B, the base of the building is C. This distance is what we do not know. So how do we do that? It's easy for us to solve because a good look at triangle TBC shows us that this is a right angle triangle. And if it's a right angle triangle with BT already known, we can easily find BC by trigonometric ratios. If you haven't seen my earlier lessons on trigonometric ratio or SOHCAHTOA, I will advise you to go back there and check them out because you need that skill to operate what we are dealing with right away. Alright, SOHCAHTOA, like I just mentioned, is a concept that helps us to solve problems that deal with trigonometric ratios like this type, which we want to solve right here. Looking at the angle at C, you notice that the opposite of angle C is line TB, which is 347 meters. But our focus now is BC, which is unknown. So the opposite is already known, but the adjacent side is not known. So to get the adjacent side, we are dealing with opposite and adjacent. And in our SOHCAHTOA, which is the concept of trigonometric ratio, the TOA, which is opposite and adjacent, appear under the tan. So what it means is that we are dealing with tan 69. The tangent of 69-degree angle is equal to opposite of the 69, which is here represented by line TB, which is 347 meters, divided by the line BC, which we do not know. That is what we are looking for at the moment. All right. To get the measurement of line BC accurately, we make BC the subject of formula. So BC will be equal to dividing 347 meters by the tangent of 69 degree. This is what it is. So if we solve this, we are going to have our answer for BC. Use your calculator to check out what that will be. From here, I can easily punch in 347 divided by the tangent of 69. That gives me 133.2008. 133.2008. That would have been my final answer if there were no restrictions. But the question had said in the beginning to round our answers, round your answers to the nearest whole number. So in that case, I'm leaving my answer line BC, which is the same thing as the distance between the bungalow and the mountain. Distance between the bungalow, BUN for short, and mountain, MOUN for short, is equal to 133 meters. Done. We have solved the first problem on A. So I'm keeping it right here. This part is the problem A, already solved. Okay, let's see what question 2 says we should do. Question 2, which is question B, says we should find the height of the bungalow. How can we find the measurement of the bungalow? Now come back to the diagram. You will notice that the bungalow has the same height as BX on this part of the diagram. The bungalow's height is height CD. What this implies is that if we are able to find the measurement for BX alone, not BT this time, but BX, in that case, we'll also be able to find the accurate measurement for CD because they are the same. Now, with this in mind, I'm just going to mention that BX and CD are equal. So, for question B, we need to recognize the fact that BX is equal to CD. Take note of that, all right? Both of them are opposite sides of a rectangle. You can see the rectangle BCDX. Did you see that? All right, having said that already now, notice also from this shape that for us to find BX, all we need to do is to subtract TX from 347. So what we are looking for is we are going to subtract TX from 347 meters. Reason for this is because the full length BT is 347 meters. Okay, so we already have the measurement for this part, but what we are looking for is whatever answer we find, we're going to employ it on this side of the shape, which is shaped line CD. So what do we do right away? All right, one thing we can do is to employ our skill again of trigonometric ratios to find what is missing in TX, which is this part. You get the point? We already said that BX is the same thing as 347 minus TX. So what that means is that TX on the other hand will be 347 minus BX. Let's write that down because that will help us. We already mentioned from our derivation in the diagram that length BX, which is equal to CD, is at the same time the same thing as 347 meters minus TX. So with this, if we make TX the subject of formula, it simply means that TX on its own will be the same thing as 347 minus BX. That's what it means. So take note of this. We are going to employ it in our calculation for B. Now coming back to the shape, watch. This is 33-degree angle. The opposite is tx, which is right now mentioned as 347 minus bx. Alright? With that in mind, notice that line xd measures exactly the same thing as bc, which is the distance between the base of the mountain and the building. And if that is true, as we have said, it simply means that the distance xd is the same thing as 133 meters that we found earlier. Take note of that. I'm also going to write it down. That the distance is BC equal the distance dx or xd, which is the same as 133 meters. Remember, we solved that earlier. I'm just going to write down the unrounded version of the answer so that when we are working with it, we should be closest to the accurate answer. Okay, having mentioned this, let's solve. We are ready to go into work for the part 2, which is part B. I'm just going to draw a straight line here to enable us have a better space of working it out. Okay, that's ready. Okay, so having said that, take a look. We have opposite and we have the adjacent, which is the same thing as tan from the SOHCAHTOA you already know. So I'm going to deal with tan 33 again this time. So I write it down. The tangent of 33-degree angle is equal to the opposite side is 347 minus, what did we say? We said it's going to be 347 minus bx. So 347 minus line bx all over the line xd, and the line xd has already been found here as 133.2008. so it's going to be 133.2008. That's how we can find the bx that we are looking for. So to do that right now, all I need to do is to find a way of making bx the subject of formula. That is my focus. Alright, so to do that, first I am going to cross multiply. So I'm going to have 133 multiplying the tangent of 33 degree, the tangent of 33 degree, that's first. And after that, the next thing is this will have to move on to this side. Take note of that. I will have to subtract 347 from it. This is going to give me the answer negative bx. But remember, what we are looking for is positive, isn't it? So for us to get the answer positive bx, I am going to multiply each term on both sides by negative. And when I do that, bx line will be equal to 347 meters minus 133 tan 33 degree. So let's work this out and see what our bx will turn out to be. So the line bx now will be equal to, let's see what that is going to be. Using my calculator, I'm going to punch 347 minus 133 tan 33 degree. This is equal to 260.63. 260.63 meters. But remember, the question asks us to round everything. But before that, before rounding, take note. Look at the diagram again. Remember, what we are looking for from the question is the height of the bungalow. The height of the bungalow here is CD. CD is the same thing as BX. Is that not? So we have already found BX as 260.63. But our final answer now will be that height of the bungalow, I'll just write BUN for short, or BUNG for short, now equals 261 meters. This has been solved. Now the next two questions to solve come under question C. The first part says, calculate the slanting distance from the top of the mountain to the top of the building and to the base of the building. Slanting distance, you can see there are two slanting lines. So from the top of the mountain to the top of the building is TD. From the top of the mountain to the base of the building is TC. Since the first question is to find from the top of the mountain to the top of the building, we're looking for TD first. So to solve question C, we start with I. The I, we are looking for line TD. We are looking for line TD. This is our focus. Don't forget that, it's very important. Okay, now to get this, since we already found out that BX is equal to 260.63, we need to find TX to work it out, since we already know what this part is. If we're dealing with opposite and hypotenuse, we'll be requiring to work with TX. But if we don't want to work with that, and we just want to work with adjacent and hypotenuse, that will be cool also, since hypotenuse is our major focus. So at this moment, I will be working with the adjacent and the hypotenuse. And from our trigonometric ratio scale, we already know that adjacent and hypotenuse only appear when you are dealing with the cosine. So I am going to deal with cosine 33. Right now I'm writing it right here. So it comes this way. Cosine of 33 degree is equal to, the adjacent is XD. The adjacent is XD line divided by the hypotenuse is TD, which is what we are actually looking for. Now, we are going to substitute into this. Remember, we solved earlier the value of XD. Come down here, this is XD or DX. We said that XD is the same thing as BC. So if XD is the same as BC, the measurement is 133.2008. Take note of that. I am going to substitute this into what we have just created. So XD is represented with the value of 133.2008 meters. Remember that all over TD is the slanting line, unknown. TD is the slanting line. So to find the value of TD, I just need to make TD the subject of formula. So it means that the TD line now, which is the same thing as the slanting line from top to top, slanting line from mountain top, I'm going to write mountain as M-O-U-N for short. So mountain top, and building top or bungalow top, I'll write it as B-U-N-G for short, bungalow top, will now be equal to dividing 133.2008 by cos 33 degree. That's what it implies. So which is equal to, let's click the calculator again and see what that is going to yield. So right now, I am going to punch 133.2008 divide by the cosine of 33 degree, and that gives me 158.8. 133.2008 divided by the cosine of 33 degree gives us 158.82. 158.82 in meters. But since the question requires us to round all our answers to the nearest whole number, this answer 158.82 ends up being the same thing as TD now is equivalent to 159 meters. We'll leave it at that. And now our final question to be solved for today is the part that says find the slanting distance from the top of the mountain to the base of the bungalow. This is the top of the mountain at T. This is the base of the bungalow at C. So the line we're looking for now is line TC. To find line TC, we already know the measurement of TB. We also already know that of BC. So we can use Pythagoras theorem to find line TC, or we can also apply our trigonometric ratio scale. Now the beautiful thing is that trigonometric ratio scale makes your work short. And to do that, I'm going to apply straight trigonometric ratio. I am going to be working with the opposite side, which is TB, and then the hypotenuse. Opposite and hypotenuse is OH. In our trigonometric ratio, we know that OH comes with sine. So I'll be working with sine 69. That's what it means. So I'm going to put this into my working. I do something like this. First of all, I'm looking for line TC. That is what we're looking for. So line TC is unknown. To do that, I'll begin by saying the sine of 69 degree is the same thing as the opposite, which is 347 meters. Opposite is 347 meters, all over hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is TC, which is the main thing we are looking for. So the hypotenuse is TC, which is unknown. All right, now to get my answer, I just need to make TC the subject of formula, like this. TC line is now equal to dividing 347 meters by sine 69 degree. This is what we're looking for. So using my calculator again, I just punch in 347 divided by sine 69. Now what is that going to yield? It's equal to 371.69. It gives me 371.69 in meters. Okay, so what this means is that the second part that says the distance between, I'm going to say, it means therefore that TC, which is the same thing as the slanting distance from the mountaintop, slanting distance from the mountaintop to the bungalow building, to the bungalow bottom or base, to the bungalow base, is equal to how many? We already got the answer as 371.69, but because it is a requirement for us to round our answers to the nearest whole number, I'll be leaving this answer not as 371.69 anymore, but 372, as 372 meters. This is the answer for the last question. So what we have done finally is to be able to solve the problem that was given to us. Remember the steps. The first step is create the diagram with proper labeling, and after that begin to apply your skills both of trigonometric ratio, if you require sine rule or cosine rule, and if you require any other method that you need to work with to enable you get your answer. This is all that we have done so far in this video. I believe this video will be able to help one or two persons or more to get a clearer understanding of how these concepts of angles of elevation and depression are treated. Thanks a lot for watching, and we hope to see you soon.